Unajua, me and Duncan, we have this problem where we are always matching. Sikikaa, nyinyi
Yo.
mko hiyo shida. We match all the
Such
time.
a big problem.
My village people are against.
So is that an era we really want to go back to?
Yeah.
It depends with our perception to watch.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Don't know how you're feeling this morning or whatever time it is that you're watching, but huku kuna baridi. But just to sort that out for you, we have some heat in this studio. And it's about this discussion. They're about to pressure you so much until you're like, hey, your baridi imetoka. My name is Donna Marara, and I am the host for today. This is the Vijana Tuchanupe podcast with me, Donna Marara, and I am joined by amazing panelists who are gonna introduce themselves. Let's hear.
Hi guys, my name is Mercy. Glad to be here again for the second episode. And karibuni sana. Let's have a good talk.
All right, now to my front.
Hello, my name is Jerry Hillary, and I'm excited to be here once again for our second episode. And
Ulisema Jerry nani?
Jerry Hillary.
Sihirare.
My village people are against. And right directly in front of me is.
My name is Duncan Maiga, and it's my pleasure to be here.
Unajua, me and Duncan, we have this problem where we are always matching. Sikikaa, nyinyi mko
Yo.
hiyo shida. We match all the
Such
time.
a big problem.
Tell us.
Is that something we need to know? Unataka tuanze hapa misinformation, disinformation.
Situcheke. Lakini today we are speaking about misinformation and disinformation as always, but this is a different angle that we're going to talk about. So as we begin, I think we want to talk about traditional news media outlets. Now this is the mainstream media that we see, the TV stations, the radio that hits our grandmother uko, in the shamba as she's digging. That is the type of traditional media that we're talking about. Now, I think the thing that we've discussed in the previous episode about the effects of the social media and all of that, but we really didn't dive into traditional news media. So my first question would be, why do you think that traditional news outlets are also caught in spreading misinformation? It's not just digital platforms that are guilty of doing this. It's also our very own traditional news media outlets. What's the problem? Well, let's start with Jerry. Jerry, tell us.
Yes. I think what happens with the digital age, I think online journalism has been one of the reasons.
Yeah.
You find someone comes with some news from interior parts of Kenya. Then to the traditional media, it's news worth airing, right? And they want to break it out, and they don't take initiative to verify whether it's real or not. Now that it's from someone deep down, because they didn't have anyone to verify for them, rather they didn't have the reporters and such um, members of staff for their companies to go and over there and due to time as well to verify this news. So I think it's one of the reasons that I think of that might lead to them having this issue of being in the crossfire of misinformation, disinformation.
Okay.
Yes.
Duncan, do you believe that that's the same reason? Is it because of time constraints and all of that and just not having someone on the ground?
I think yeah, to some extent, but I think I would also deviate a little bit because I also feel that besides that, I think it will even be very good if you just consumed little but correct information rather than too much information, but one that is either exaggerated or sensationalized.
Yeah.
So, but I think also just in line with that, just maybe to add on it, I would say that again there is the issue of capacity. Because again, we have also had an issue with capacity for the media. We have, for instance, what I don't want to say inexperience with the media or that, but you find that maybe we don't have even enough staff,
Yeah,
even to,
definitely.
again, with the harsh economic times that
Mm.
actually have also really bedeviled virtually every single sector.
True.
With media not spared again. So I
Mhm.
think there is an issue with capacity whereby media doesn't have the capacity. Even the, people, there are people in the media, but they are not media literate. So we have sufficient
True. True.
So I think I would say capacity is also a big issue. Big issue.
Definitely.
Mm.
And I think again with the whole cost cutting measures that the media is getting into as of now, someone is doing three jobs at one go. Mhm.
I think one of the contributing factors is this online platforms where people get news. Um, I shouldn't mention names, yes, but they tend to be trusted more than the traditional media themselves. Where even the traditional media, like news, news channels and TV and radio, get information and they tend to um, uh, how do I say it? They tend to use that. Yeah. For them, it's news, but it might be fake, right?
Yeah.
So I think that is also a contributing factor. They don't take time to verify. Now that people trust it, and that the people to distribute news fast on social media. So to them, that is a breaking news.
Yeah.
So it's really one of the things that contributes to that.
Okay, and you, Mercy, is that the same?
I do agree with Jerry. And first of all, let me start this way.
Yeah.
I think traditional media does better than new digital media. Like
Yes.
it does better. There are ethics. But then now why I think sometimes they're caught up is several reasons. One of them, let's start with biases. Yeah. Even this traditional media is owned by people with biases.
True.
And to add on what Duncan said earlier, these biases, they bring in issues such as sensationalization. So yes, we are bringing stories, but then the way we bring these stories for this traditional media, there's a lot of exaggeration sometimes to make stories look maybe worse sometimes than they are. So biases are one of the reasons. And then again, there's also the tug of war between ethics and what's new.
True.
And what's new also has targets. We need to pay our bills. Yeah. So with a lot of viewers, there's more,
More
like there's more streaming, there's more. So it's still a tug of war there. They have ethics that govern them. They shouldn't do certain things. But then again, to bring this point home, the case of the CDF, I know this story has been used over and over. But look at how that played out.
Yeah.
So me, I'm a producer in my station. I already know for a fact this thing has happened. Yeah. And I want to break the news. Because it brings more people to my
Your platform.
yeah. But then again, there are these ethics. So those I think are some of the reasons why
Yeah.
traditional media is caught in this sometimes.
Yes.
Now, in as much as we've talked about how traditional media is being caught up in that whole crossfire of misinformation and disinformation, um, don't you think that you said that they've done better in terms of their publication of it, but we've also seen the news, like traditional news media, actually post misinformation. Those ethics did flew out the window. Recently, the whole Davido and the that's April Fool's Day
Yeah.
prank that was pulled on him.
Yeah.
People alleging that he had cocaine in his plane, and that did not happen.
Traditional
That was
media.
traditional
Yeah.
media.
Yeah.
So, what do you have to say about that? Duncan, we might start with you. What do you have to say about that? You've said that it's run on ethics. What
Yes.
type of ethics were at play there?
Right. Yeah. It's about ethics, but I think there's a deeper issue. There's a very a deep issue when it comes to some of these things,
Yeah.
and especially in Kenya.
Yeah.
In Kenya, I think I need to say this: we've really normalized very abnormal things. Um, and why do I say that? Because actually nowadays anybody can even throw a joke, a very sour joke,
Yeah.
about someone on social media, for instance, and people are like, but I mean, that's us.
It's just jokes.
We are nowadays. I mean, Kitambo, when we saw maybe a tweet from a very popular TV station, for instance, on X,
Yeah.
we could not even see the person behind the tweet. We would see the entire organization.
Yeah.
But nowadays, the traditional media is now very notorious of posting specific content until we are like, what ukienda hapo kwa comments utaona, hey, admin.
This yeah.
We even stop seeing now the institution,
Yeah.
and we start now seeing the admin. So I think the problem is we have really normalized doing stuff. And that's why now, unapata mtu ameambiwa, you are the one who is now going to be handling some of these maybe social media platforms, ama you'll be doing, maybe, hata kama ni editor for instance, for
Yeah.
maybe some news kwa TV and all that. And then anakuja anasema, anyway, she's what is out there. I mean, it's normal. It's what is out there. So what's wrong with me even allowing such a story to go out there?
Yeah.
And again, sinful state, people are, watu wataona tu ni full state.
Jokes.
People have lost, you see what we call the very essence of professionalism in journalism, which especially in Kenya, we've really lost it. In I'm not saying international media it's any better, but it tries. Sometimes you are able to see that there are some organizations that really focus on their job. It's news, it's disseminating information, it's disseminating news. They are really serious about that. And so for us, we now, especially in Kenya, we have a situation whereby traditional media, the TV stations and radio stations, not all, not here to crucify any, but there are some who feel like, anyway, that is what Kenyans are doing.
Yeah.
So we can do it also. But forgetting that there is this role that we kept saying, gatekeeping role of
Yeah.
the media, which the media has really let their guts down when it comes to gatekeeping.
Yeah.
And nowadays, I'm even shocked and even worried what now the students there in campus mastude huko wanaandika aje wa media wakisema at the role of the media
Ni
communications
Sahau hiyo
Eh,
point. Hiyo point
hiyo point
inasaulika.
because you are like, okay, how when we talk about the media as the watchdog, it's now sleeping together with the oppressors.
Yani.
Whoever the oppressors are, you define them.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
So I think that's a problem.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Definitely. So on that note, he's talked a little bit about how there's a lack of professionalism. And now on that note, you also talked about eyeballs and needing that kind of we need numbers, and numbers is what's driving the journalism and media industry in general. So it's become more of big business than it has now. Or we're trying to, represent public opinion and, do all of that. So, what is sensationalization has played like a very major role in a lot of the news reports and pieces that we are seeing these days. So, my question is: do you think that important news or news that is going to affect the general public is at the back? It's taking a back seat while more sensationalized stories are, are getting more airtime.
I think so. I think so. So at one point, I didn't used to watch the news a lot.
Yeah.
But then I think with everything that has happened to our country in the last few months,
Yeah.
we are all watching news now. But it got to the point where politician X and Y have gone for a burial or whatever is more important than the state of our nation in things that affect larger masses.
Yeah.
So I think for sure, and I think that is worsened by traditional media for sure.
Yeah.
To them, what is more important is what will catch people's attention more. Is it what Bigwig A said about Bigwig B, or is it actually money has been stolen, or something else that is of more that builds the nation more?
Yeah.
Besides just slander amongst themselves. Yeah. So yeah, I do think so. I do think the juicy stories, which are sometimes propaganda,
Yeah.
sell
Most of the time.
more than actual news that every Kenyan should be knowing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
I think my question now to you, Jerry, is what do you think that the traditional news media can do to restore that level of professionalism, to restore restore the ethical bounds with which they are supposed to be, held by?
Right. I think Matthew, first of all, is right in a couple of things. I think we've lost that patch of what is news.
Yeah.
Yes, because nowadays I even watch news and say and ask myself, is it even news?
Sasa, what was that?
Yes, and
Migani.
it's breaking
Yeah.
news. Who waits who? Who is
Right?
engaged to who? Like, is that even news really? So I think the media should just wake up once again and go back to the olden age where news was news.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think they should give us the news we were used to,
Yeah.
like during Moist time or olden days
Do
where
you really want to go there?
I don't know about that one.
it's those one to listen to.
But let me
Right?
ask, if we go back to Moi era, there was a lot of media capture then. So is that an era we really want to go back to? Yeah.
It depends with our perception to what to them, to the people during those days, those were news because they wanted to know what had the president done, right? So they watch TV and say, Today he was somewhere. What did he say?" But to us nowadays, the news is like somebody wed somebody is having a wedding in June with some mzungu somewhere. You get. So to them, I mean to me as a person who is watching the news, I'm like,
Yeah.
what are they doing, right?
Uh,
So I think they should take initiative and go back to the era. I know ethical issues, yeah, and know what interests us as the viewers, because I know majority of people, not majority, like there are some a good number who are not learned, and to them that might be news.
Yeah.
But to us, the people who have gone to have gone to school, have studied media and communication, we might understand these things.
sawa, sasa sisi twende wapi? Yenye tutasema media.
And even the people who didn't understand media, they know what trading news is.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay,
So
okay.
I think the media should take back the seats that used to be there and give us what really news is. Yeah.
Okay.
You know,
I believe
Donna,
that.
I'm sorry to interject, but now my question would be, we're at an era where there's a lot of citizen journalism.
Yeah.
When you speak like that, I'm like, yo, me, Radasi, I can't get. But again, I was corrected recently. It's not citizen journalism, it's just citizen reporting.
Yeah.
So I think maybe here the issue is that we need to do a lot of civic education, even on media literacy and this ethics. Because whether I am communications person or not, these skills are important. Because I will see something happen and record it, and people are dead. I'm just posting it without,
Yeah.
that knowledge. Hey, yo, hold. These people need to be informed. People need to be informed something has happened. They need to be prepared. So yeah, I think it's about civic education.
Yeah.
But the fact is, media is lost in a way.
It's
We lost our sense
Should
of
we really
direction.
condemn them like
let's I agree. I agree.
right?
On that
We
note.
lost our sense of direction, supporting and all that. So
All right. Now, just to kill that, just for a second, let's hold on to that for a second. My question to you, Duncan, we've spoken about how we feel like the media is a bit, it's getting lost in the noise of misinformation and disinformation.
Yeah.
I want to ask you about whether the democratic processes are being threatened by specific media houses being backed by political affiliations. So a certain media house is being backed by politician A, another media house is being backed by politician B, and then the coverage of these individuals on those the individual stations
Yeah.
is very pro them, or in another case it's very anti them. What does that do to people in the village somewhere who are watching and saying, "Enyewe, this guy's very good, he's very good," while people in another part of the country are watching a different station and are saying, "This guy's terrible, how are we supposed to vote him?" What do you think that does to our
I
democratic
think
process?
it's crazy. I must say that. I must start by saying that because what you just said, Donna,
Yeah.
really played during the 2022 general elections, including when the current president won the elections, when they were, I think, in Karen and giving their some
Parallel
speech,
telling.
yeah,
Yeah.
some speech, even on and very happy about their winning. I remember the issues around the media also came up. Imagine the very first speech of the president elect had the aspect, yeah, media and how they covered the entire period. Do you remember?
Yeah.
And actually one of the journalists from one of the media houses uh was I mean, it was a very sarcastic comment from the politicians.
Yeah.
I mean, it
Yeah.
played
Very
a very big part a very big role in the entire conversation. But to be honest, Donna, this really affects the democratic processes whereby but I think it also happened, I mean, in 2017 also. Because I remember people used to say, then it was, I think, Jubilee. There was, is it COD? Jubilee and COD, eh?
NASA.
NASA. Oh, what was before that?
Yeah.
NASA. Thank
NASA.
you. Oh, God. Now, don't get my age. I'm sorry. So, vintage. Jubilee and NASA.
Eh?
Oh, NASA. NASA. I'm going to get NASA. I remember people who are fans, who loved the ideologies of NASA used to tune to specific channels. Hata huko shags ulikuwa unasikia unataka kuona kampeni za Uhuru,
Weka hii.
That's
hii ingine
true.
wachana nayo.
That's true.
Because by then, because it was very serious, because ulikuwa unasikia mtu akisema na kwani nani siku hizi hakampeni, mtu wetu kwani hakampeni, unaambiwa hapana,
Angalia
watch
huko.
the wrong station. Hawawezi waleta, na wakileta ni once. So it skews how we think. And Donna, there is a theory in media training that is known as the agenda setting theory. The agenda set, no, not the agenda, the framing theory, where the media is able to frame a specific story that is understood as they would wish it to be understood.
Yeah.
Or even frame the conversation again. I mean, when it comes to issues politics. And therefore, that is why, again, let me again bring another ideology so that we can I can match them. There's also something we talk of an issue. If an issue is in the interest of the public, and if an issue is of interest to the public. An issue of interest to the public is an issue that the public might not even be aware of, but the media sees this issue as an issue that the public should know.
No.
And then there are issues that are in the interest of the public. Is what the public knows, but it still needs the media to. It's just like sometimes how we feel like, why is the media not giving us other news apart from this?
Yes,
Because
yeah.
we feel like there are other issues that concern us, but they are not out there in the media. So you see how these ones skews how people think. Even if you go to huko shags kabisa, utapata there are people who believe a particular politician is a mganga. Nobody can convince them
Imagine,
otherwise.
yeah.
You see? And now the media has really slowed down on even the filters of some of these conversations. Yeah. So and you find now that how people think and view politics, how people think and view issues of governance is very skewed. For instance, can I give an example
Yes.
even as I conclude? Talk about development. We are all seeking for development in our nation. But how many stories are usually covered on development issues in news? They just discuss of politician this, this to politician this, say this about politician this. But and now that one makes hata wakati, for instance, even when now politicians come to form truces in governments and all that, people think we are now sorted, mtu wetu wako ndani, because people now think politics is about who is in love with who or is in bed with who. But they have not come to understand that politics is about which politician is delivering what to which part of the country. And what policies is politician this bringing into parliament, for instance, even sponsoring whichever bill they are sponsoring in parliament or that. So you see, it skews how people see governance, how people see leadership, even of a nation, because the media is not very balanced in terms of what it covers and what it feeds the public out there. Yes.
And Don, I think it played a very big role. Around the 2022 election, there were certain groups who trusted some other TV station more than the others because they believe the news that the other TV channel were delivering were the correct ones. So I think it really impacted a lot of things during that time.
I think this is earlier what I was saying about biases,
Mm.
you know,
Yes,
because
yes.
they are owned by people.
Mm.
And even I think another way is even the vignette that we have as Creco, the 295 days. If you read it, you'll realize the findings were between the 225 days from the campaigning season till the day the petition was taken to court. Everything that happened in there, all the propaganda, all the news, they affected voting, especially for the youth and women. You know, those are the most okay, I don't want to say that because feminists will come for me.
Yeah.
But the categories that are mostly affected, women and youth.
Yeah.
So yeah, these things affect the democratic processes.
They must.
Even
Now,
some TV channels were given names for political groups and
Give a media, where did
Yeah.
it come from?
Yeah.
Yeah. But then again, I think we should also and I've seen, or maybe I'm preempting maybe some of your, but I think I have seen a bit of a change lately. There's a time I was watching an interview, and the interviewer kept saying, if you're going to bring up anything, it has to be verbatim or it has to have evidence.
yeah.
It's exactly what they said, or do not bring things for us to. So I do see some change,
Yeah.
which is good. But yeah, it plays a role.
Yes, and all this should also come with some change in this media organization. There's some media organization who does interviews for political persons who are bad in a way.
Yeah.
Like they bring a specific type of specific people from specific groups of political sects. So, for instance, they want MPs. They want from a specific um. Uh, party who they believe that is giving us the right news we want. Instead of being balanced in a way, when there are arguments, this one brings it, the other one brings
Yeah.
it, then we neutralize the other.
Yeah.
You get?
Yeah.
So that biasness, I think there should be change on that. Yeah.
Okay, most definitely. I think that we've had a very interesting conversation on whether the media is biased and all of that. I believe you know that traditional media does, we can all agree that it has some work to do. It needs some serious work. There needs to be some things done different and put into place, which is now my directing my questions to you guys. What do you think that the media should do? What is the next step for traditional news media? We've pointed out all their flaws. What can they do to fix this situation so that now democracy is not threatened and also misinformation and disinformation is not given a platform on their spaces? Yeah, let's start with you, Duncan.
Okay, I think let me tell you, Donna, the media knows its role.
Yeah.
It simply shies off from doing its job. What I would say, let the media do their job.
Yeah.
Their job is to inform the public. Um, they are not supposed to be if anything, just elaborate facts as they are.
Yeah.
Let the media free themselves also from sensationalism. Let them free themselves from, I mean, very posting very quickly without even considering,
Yeah.
fact checking. Let them establish fact checking desks if possible. And with that, they are going to earn back the respect that they should, because media is the watchdog of the society. And that role is very critical for them. Thank you.
Thank you. Hillary?
I think number one is education in media sector. There should be some new ideas of how to carry out things in terms of educating the media personnel, because I think one of the things we are shying away from is ethics.
Yeah.
Yeah. People do tend to, I mean, the media personalities nowadays tend to do things of how they are controlled to do,
Yeah.
right? Someone presents news, and instead of carrying out the duty as a journalist, you'll do that because I was told. You get. So I think media education number one should be an important key, and also I agree with Duncan. Media should carry out its duty as it's supposed to,
Yeah.
because a lot of things happening nowadays. You see, media, even the media, I'm even wondering media nowadays complains that tunanyanyaswa. You get, and they should be the watchdog of the people who are wananyanyaswa. So it's something that should, something that should be done on
Yeah.
all that.
Okay.
I think that question, there's no direct answer.
Yeah.
When you ask that question, I think we sing that song here at Greco. Media plays the same role as CSOs. So when you ask that question, the first thing that came to my mind was, what should CSOs do better? And I couldn't get like a definite answer. Because, sometimes it's just telling people, have the people's best interest at heart. But really, how do you measure that? Because if it's about ethics, they know ethics. If it's about skills, a lot of people in traditional media have those skills. So really, it's about having the best interest at heart for the people you serve.
Yeah.
And also, I feel like during this maandamano time, I remember that's hiyo kitu ya kusalimiana. You saw what happened to 3 journalists when they were. But do you know what happened? The reverse happened.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when you do what's right by the people, yeah, you don't even need to go to fake news to get views. If you do right by the people, they will reward you.
True.
So I think for me, there's no definite answer. Education is there, everything is there. Like, but let them, all these conflicts of interest.
Yeah.
You know what's important to media is trust.
Yeah.
Trust that us viewers, do we have trust in these media houses?
Yeah.
Because I think if you look at it right now, like I would rather go read an article by African Censored than go to Citizen Digital. Okay, sorry, you'll cut. I'm sorry. Ding. I would rather I'll go read private media stations than traditional media stations, right?
Yeah.
Right? Sorry. So I think it's not a definite answer, but I think it's also a lot of unlearning that has to happen.
Yeah.
And I think it goes even beyond media. It's like a culture we have as a country currently, like the me. But that needs to end.
Yeah.
Sectoral, individually, as a
Yeah.
sector. Yeah, I
Okay.
think that's what needs to happen.
I think so. What I'm getting from you is that it's public interest over profits.
Yeah.
Because now profits is what's driving them for all this
Absolutely.
sensationalization and all of that. Yeah. And I would like to close this conversation. I think we've had a very, very you guys are learning.
Hey, please.
Tunatupia pressure to it's even hot. I promised you guys a very, very heated discussion, and that's exactly what we have provided for
I think
you.
tell us we are informed.
Yeah.
Today it's
Mko
informed,
mbele.
not learned. We are using
Mko
information.
mbele.
Information
Mko mbele.
is the word. Yeah.
And that's all from us here at Vijana Tuchanuke podcast. We want to thank you, and we will be checking your comments just to see what you think on this conversation. Do you think that the traditional news media has a part to play, and is it spreading misinformation and disinformation? And what can it do to stop that? Just let us know in the comment section below.
1, 2, 3, 4.